Texting.
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 Texting. Texting. Texting. Texting.
Texting.
Texting.
Mark, Will, and Tomek present
Texting.
Hello, all you Textual Deviants, and welcome to another episode of Texting. I'm #Persians in Taipei.
I'm Shams of St. Pete's in St. Petersburg.
And we're joined once again by GJ Villa, somewhere in Trumplandia.
Hello. Happy to be here.
All right, I just want to point out that I tried to warn everyone 8 years ago when I published my translation of Aeschylus' Persians. From the back, Aeschylus' historical tragedy Persians, with its dire warnings against the hubris of imperialist overreach, is as relevant today as it was when first presented to an Athenian audience in 472 BC. This new edition of the classic drama features a literal translation by Mark Will, translator of Fernando Pessoa's Message, which reconstructs in contemporary English verse the epic cadences of the original Greek. Will's preface, which is supplemented with maps and timelines, offers ancient and modern historical perspectives on the play, as well as essential background information on the Achaemenid kings, the Greco-Persian wars, the Battle of Salamis, and Aeschylus himself. Copious notes in the back of the book provide commentary on selected passages and highlight parallels between the Persian Imperium, which tyrannized Greek cities in antiquity, and the Pax Americana of the current age, which seeks regime change in Iran and has indulged in reckless military interventionism throughout the Middle East and beyond. That was 2018, and here we are in 2026. You're welcome.
There you go. All right.
Okay, so as I said, this is part 3 of the write-off. It's taken quite a bit longer than we had hoped, but apparently that can't be helped because we talk too much. So you're just going to have to deal with that, anyone out there who happens to be listening and or watching. So what we're going to do is have Tomek spin the wheel. Sorry, Shams of St. Pete. And
Pete's.
that, St. Pete's. And that, explain that allusion to us.
Sure, well, I visited Turkey last summer, and you visited more recently, and one of my favorite Turkish-sourced writers is Elif Shafak. She wrote a beautiful historical work called The 40 Rules of Love, and you are having your first read of it now, so
And
in
loving
honor
it.
of her, in honor of Turkey, and in honor of Rumi and Shams, and in honor of Iran, I have become Shams of St. Pete's, a.k.a.
like it.
Shams
I
of
like it.
Tabriz. Yeah.
And thanks for the recommendation. Elif Shafak went up against Murakami in round 1, either in the first or second episode, and she got knocked out. But Shams introduced us to her work, and I picked up a copy of The 40 Rules of Love, and I'm loving it. It's great. Highly recommended. I see
Awesome.
what you mean, though, about her being, what did you say, upper echelon airplane reading?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a fair description, especially when we read like the Ella Rubinstein sections, the modern sections, but the historical bits, wow.
Yeah, they
Incredible.
feel well researched, and
I'm learning
grand.
a lot. And,
cool.
of course, I've loved Rumi for, many years through the translations of Coleman Barks. But, this
By
is
the
a
way,
different
as
perspective.
soon as you say go, I will start spinning. So you just
Anytime,
let me know.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll try to fill the void with maybe a recap of previous rounds, but yeah. So Shams is going to spin, and then he'll announce the new matchups as we go forward. So let the wheel of fortune do its business. And in the meantime, just a quick recap. In previous rounds, we had Albert Camus versus Mario Vargas Llosa. Camus won that matchup. Then we had William Blake versus Thomas Bernhard. Bernhard went through. Toni Morrison versus Viet Thanh Nguyen. Toni Morrison won that. Zora Neale Hurston versus Ovid, and Zora Neale Hurston won that. So in the semifinals of that bracket, we'll have Camus versus Bernhardt and Toni Morrison versus Zora Neale Hurston. Interesting matchups there. We'll see if we get to that. And in the next bracket, we had Roberto Colasso versus Andre Benjamin. And you'll never believe it, but Roberto Colasso won that. And then we had Franz Kafka versus Oscar Wilde. And this was a major upset. As far as I'm concerned, Oscar Wilde went through. Not that Wilde is not great. In fact, GJ Villa and I are writing about Wilde as we speak, or have written and are delaying publication of volume 2 of our series of novelettes called Aranesque, and volume 2 is Wilde's Day, which is mostly about Wilde, but also James Joyce. So Kafka got his ass kicked by Wilde. Are you having regrets about that?
The next day I could have gone Kafka, the day after Wilde, the day after Kafka, so it was definitely the hardest matchup for me.
That's tough luck for Kafka. Then we had Ernest Hemingway versus Arthur Miller. Hemingway went through. We had Virginia Woolf versus Marcel Proust, and Proust went through. So in the semifinals, we'll have Colasso versus Wilde and Hemingway versus Proust. Again, interesting matchups. How's that wheel spinning going?
Almost ready to announce all 4 matchups.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Okay, the first matchup is Solomon against Hunter S. Thompson. I'll let you react to that.
Interesting. Yeah, Solomon, that was my choice. I think HST was yours, Shams. Tomek, Shams.
Quite possibly.
Yeah. Right.
In the second matchup, let me just do this. We have Elena Ferrante against Jack Kerouac. The third
Ferrante
matchup
is yours.
Go on.
That's mine.
Via, yeah.
Yep.
Then we've got Euripides against Baudelaire.
Yeah.
And finally, Richard Linklater against J.D. Salinger.
Those are both yours. Okay.
So
we'll continue with the recap after we finish with these 4 matchups.
Let's go.
Do you want me to display the matchups, or we'll just discuss?
Yeah, sure. Well, you can. Yeah, show the bracket if you typed them in already.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, yeah. There we go.
I'll expand that for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better. Okay. Oh, wait. That's the first. Yeah. There we go.
There you go.
Okay, here we are. So, Solomon versus Hunter S. Thompson. I guess I have to make the case for Solomon.
Can you see me, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
I see you. Yeah. You got a nice yellowish background.
Yeah, it's my new apartment that I now own. You have to congratulate me.
Congratulations. Wow. Very nice.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what shirt is that, out of curiosity?
This is an Arsenal shirt.
Are you an Arsenal fan?
Massive, yeah.
Oh, all right. I'm a Liverpool fan. I didn't know you were an Arsenal
interesting.
fan. All right.
Okay.
You're winning unattractively, but you're winning. So
exactly. Yeah, we'll take it. Especially this first time.
Yeah, you need to break the spell, right?
Exactly. That's right.
All right, Mark. Solomon.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, I wanted there to be an Old Testament representative. And I like Solomon better than Moses, if we can put it that way. So that's why I chose him. I recently read Colosso's The Book of All Books, which is a great study of ancient Hebrew literature, ancient Jewish tradition. So Solomon, traditionally the books of Proverbs and, of course, Song of Solomon are ascribed to him. And those are some of my favorite books.
Shout out Toni Morrison.
Old Testament, I would say. And also, Solomon was a pimp. with his, 500 wives, and he built that temple, getting those
Shout out 50 Cent.
cedar trees from Lebanon, and probably hiring a brilliant Phoenician, probably a cousin of Cadmus, to design it. He was the architect, I imagine. I think his name was Hiram of Tyre. I don't know why I remember that name, but look it up. It's probably right. So yeah, Solomon, and he's up against
Hunter. He emerges in the New Testament, and that's the part where Jesus advises his disciples to sample of the forbidden fruit, and Hunter was his most avid disciple in that regard, and he really took his consummation of these spiritual plants very seriously. But yeah, I don't know how we all feel about Hunter, but I was a massive fan of Fear and Loathing. I actually came to it after the movie and was very impressed with the prose. Found a nice audiobook version as well, and I guess I got sucked into that whole mythology a little bit at university when I was dabbling in illegal substances. The gonzo journalism angle is admirable in terms of stuff like the Hells Angels, but also the way that he would track campaigns.
Fear and Loathing.
Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail, right? That was one of the titles.
You wrote about the Hells Angels?
Yep. You're furiously scrolling, Mark. Is that you doing secondhand research, or are you texting?
I'm looking up Solomon. Keep talking.
Okay, sure. He's one of those writers who kind of appears to live the persona that he writes about. I mean, we don't know how much of it is like image, but I think there's like a notorious recipe of like his daily imbuing. There's a better word for that. But it's like insane, right? Imbibing. Yeah, his daily imbibation. What's the word I'm looking for?
Imbibing.
I know, but there's like another word like imbibation or something. Mark, help me out, bro.
Ingestion.
It could be. Mark's just enjoying his phone. Okay. He's exciting. I know he likes to blow up shit. What do you think? I've talked too much.
Yeah, he was a very important early influence on me personally. Like, I had a lot of his books, some anthologies, and then some standalone works like The Curse of Lono, which is about covering a race in Hawaii. What was the other one? One of the other standalone works. Maybe I think I had Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail. What was it, 72? But anyway, his essays and I guess his journalism, gonzo journalism reporting, massively influential on me when I myself was beginning to try to write. So these days less so, and I've also heard some strange things about him in relation to Epstein type activities. There's the allegation that he helped produce and or film a snuff film, like he was involved in that. I'm not sure I believe that, but it's made me...
Snuff, you mean like porn?
Well, a snuff film is porn in which the actors are snuffed out, literally murdered on film. And there's a
I never knew
story.
That.
What?
I never knew that.
Yeah, there's a story going around that he financed one or filmed one or was somehow involved in one. That may just be detractors like talking shit, but I don't know. I mean, with the recent revelations about people like Chomsky and Woody Allen, we have to
Woody
wonder.
Allen's been struggling with reputation.
I know that, but a lot of that is bullshit Mia Farrow propaganda, whereas the recent revelations are more troubling. So anyway, for whatever that's worth, like, can we put that aside when considering his work? I don't know. I mean, maybe King Solomon indulged in some Epstein type activities too, but
I think we can put aside your unsubstantiated rumor that
it's not me. Okay.
Well, you're the one who introduced it.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm reporting what I've learned about. Okay, I didn't do the deep dive investigation.
Yeah,
so if you want to look into it, go ahead.
Question whether it's worthy of like reducing his status, and it seems like why would we do that if we have no idea about whether that's true or not?
Okay, well, anyway, Solomon, traditionally wrote Proverbs, as I said, Song of Solomon, of course, but also very important. I neglected to mention this, Ecclesiastes, which may be my favorite book of the Old Testament. And maybe a couple of Psalms, even though David, is supposedly the composer of the Psalms. So, yeah, I'm going to vote Solomon.
GJ, you've been quiet for a while.
I've been listening to you two talk. Yeah.
Sure, but what's your personal experience with either of these guys?
I've read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and it's a fun read for sure. And I've been revisiting books by audiobook, and thanks for that recommendation, because that would be a fun one to listen to for sure. Exciting prose. I've read some of his stuff on Hell's Angels, right? He was certainly seminal in the 60s and 70s with his new journalism, gonzo journalism. Live wire writing, you're kind of lively being taken along, so there's that. Solomon, though, that's an interesting selection. Song of Solomon is the only sort of openly, sort of to that level kind of explicitness, erotic poetry in the Old Testament, which is gorgeous. And I actually used a verse from Song of Solomon in my wedding. I love Ecclesiastes. I mean, that is just such a beautiful book. And so I can't believe it made it into the canon in so many ways, just given its message about vanity, right? So, end of the day, I think I'm going to go with Solomon.
What is the message about vanity?
Vanity of vanities, all is vanities, basically, right? That to put stock in this world and to so on, everything is heading towards dissolution.
There's nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun, and that's where Hemingway got "The sun also rises," right? The sun also rises and it sets, right? These sort of cycles and so on. So, yeah, interesting matchup, but yeah, Solomon for me.
Hunter for me, only because I haven't had any profound experiences with Solomon.
Blasphemy.
But I'm intrigued by your descriptions.
Check out the start of Ecclesiastes, just like
I would have,
few stanzas.
I was a every Sunday Catholic growing up, so I would have heard some of it in church.
Yeah, but that's the kind of the priest. I was a Catholic too. Would never have used Ecclesiastes in his homily. At least not the priest that I grew up with.
Okay, I just mean it might have been like one of the first readings. You get the first Old Testament reading, and then so I've probably heard some excerpts at least, or
yeah, probably, yeah. They're like, did you go to Sunday school as well? There was never a lesson on Ecclesiastes, like in terms of that. But
well, they have to allegorize it, right? Like, it's not about a sexual relationship; it's about God's relation to His people.
That's Song of Solomon. That's Song of Solomon.
Right?
I was talking
yes.
But yeah,
I know.
That's exactly. They have over the centuries, of course, they've Christianized, quote unquote, right? The Song of Solomon is an allegory for the soul's longing to be with God, which is like. All right. I mean, part of me likes that because it does tie into mystical notions as, longing for God as eroticism, but it's not what it's about. So anyhow.
Your breasts are like two pomegranates and your belly is a heap of wheat. Yeah, that's
my soul's longing for the divine.
God. Yeah, exactly.
Phallus. I mean, that's what it is, clearly. Yeah. All right.
All right,
are we moving on?
Mark, you have the deciding vote. Did you go Solomon?
I voted Solomon, yeah.
Okay, my bad.
So, GJ is going to give us the rundown on...
Elena Ferrante. I'll try to go quickly, because judging by that first conversation we just had, which is all interesting, at this point, we're not going to finish today. But, Elena Ferrante, the Neapolitan Quartet, when I think of the best reading experiences of the last 20 years, really two writers come to mind. One is Roberto Bolaño, who has not come up yet. The other is Elena Ferrante. These books are amazing stories, about a lifelong friendship between two Neapolitan girls growing up in the 50s and 60s and 70s. You follow them throughout their lives. The narrator is a writer writing about her extraordinary friend, right? So you have Lila and Lenu, right? The two childhood friends from this little slum in Naples growing up together, these brilliant creatures. You get the politics of the 60s, 70s, and 80s in Italy. You get the pathology of patriarchy and all of its ugliness, and you get the portrait of these two remarkable little girls who go through extraordinary lives. So it's about friendship, it's about envy, it's about ambition, it's about all kinds of things. Anyway, absolutely exquisite. Read it if you haven't, and then if you've read it, or you can just dive in and start watching the HBO. It's a Italian version, beautifully rendered miniseries, which takes on each quartet, each volume of the quartets in its own season, right? So I love it. Just absolutely spectacular.
Can I ask a couple questions? So, over how many books are there in this?
There are 4 books.
4, and
Hence
they span
the
from
title
which years?
quartet. But yeah,
Thank you.
They span from their childhood into their adulthood, but 1950s. Right?
So like 50s to 70s, something like that.
Yeah, 50s to 70s mostly, 50s to 80s, right? That chunk of time.
And it all takes place in Napoli.
A lot of it takes place in Napoli, but also other parts of the country because the protagonist and narrator goes and studies, right, in other parts of the country. So you get a snapshot of Italy at large as well. But most of the action, yes, is in Naples.
Have you been there? It's my favorite city in Italy.
I have, but just briefly, yeah. Yeah, long ago on a student trip.
It's an amazing city. It's such a different vibe to other parts of Italy.
Right.
Very romantic place.
And it definitely depicts, Italy, the southern part of Italy, the corrupt part, the sort of armpit of the world, so to speak, right? In terms of the way that the other Italians, there's a lot of snobbery with northern Italians and their views of southern Italians.
Right.
Right. And these girls coming from this and remaking themselves through brilliance and education and so on. Fantastic stuff.
And she's alive?
She is a mystery. Nobody knows who she is because she is a Elena Ferrante. There's a lot of mystery about who this person is. There's actually been some speculation that it might be a man and a woman, a husband and wife, professor and... So anyway, there's who is Elena Ferrante, right? She's been interviewed, but she doesn't do it in person.
So she will she write her answers?
She will write her answers. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole online, you can go down rabbit holes about the enigma of this Elena Ferrante and, journalists who've tried to figure out who she really is, right?
Interesting.
But that to me is irrelevant. I mean, I don't really care about that, honestly, right? The books are just such magnificent works,
But we're not even aware if they're alive?
Who?
This writer?
Well, they published another novel not too long ago, like 3-4 years ago. The Lying Lives of Adults, which is good, but this is a masterwork.
And is this writer being celebrated in academia, or is it?
Oh, this writer is globally celebrated. I mean,
there's an HBO
bestseller
series.
in Italy, bestseller in Europe, bestseller globally. I mean, there's
but bestseller is one thing. I'm saying, is she gonna be?
Yes.
Also,
she's one of those rare. It's sort of like 100 Years of Solitude. It's one of those books that comes along every once in a while that is both critically lauded with superlatives and commercially just a fucking sensation.
Nice. And have you read her, Mark?
I've read volume 1 of the quartet, and I have volume 2. It's very good.
I know you didn't like it as much as I do, but
no,
that's fine.
I don't think it's moved me. Obviously, because I haven't read volume 2 yet. But I mean, volume 1 was excellent. I mean, it's very good, and I should pick up volume 2. I mean, I've got it here on my shelf, and I should finish what I started, but I haven't yet.
Nice.
So give us the Kerouac endorsement, Shams.
Okay, I feel like I've had so many conversations, either tangentially or directly, about Kerouac with you, and even recently in one of my art talks here in St. Petersburg, I talked a lot about Dharma bumps, so I don't want to rehash too much. I feel like a need to kind of be slightly even defensive about Kerouac because he belongs in that kind of slightly dismissed category of like mainstream writers like Salinger, Kerouac. They're considered these writers that you grow out of, or someone that has this big burst of cultural relevance and excitement, but maybe doesn't have as much cultural long-standing. So, but I'm kind of always like very keen to defend, and I know how crucial Kerouac was in my development as a person, as a thinker. He equipped me with courage, both in terms of my writing and in terms of my approach to life. And again, it's one of those things. How much do we care about how his life ended up? Kind of depressive and living with his mom and alcoholic. So he didn't really seem to fulfill maybe some of the ideals that he espoused earlier on.
Didn't he kind of warm a little bit to Nixon even?
I'm not sure, but yeah, he had a conservative streak, right?
Yeah. Which is not surprising to me because in some ways you think it's his, at least on the road, is more really about personal liberation, so that can sort of veer into, libertarian feelings and distrust of government and blah, 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 right? So,
yeah. I didn't know about that particular affinity, but...
I might be wrong about that, but I do feel like I've read somewhere about his...
It's a harsh association, so yeah, we got to fact check that. That's a depressing one. But yeah.
Did he make a snuff film too?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
snuff films and Nixon.
On the Road, which, as a young man you like, but even I remember when I read On the Road in college, maybe high school, the depiction across the country was exciting and so on, but then when he got, hung out with the Mexicans, there was a little bit of a cringe in terms of the way they were depicted and whatnot, right? The kind of white man idealizing these Mexican
noble
workers,
savages,
having an affair with a Mexican woman and then leaving it all behind, right? But
he loves Mexico, and so I'll give him some credit there.
But I can forgive that. I don't take offense, right? I don't take offense at all. Just remember, like for me, it just kind of felt a little bit juvenile. That said, I haven't read enough Kerouac, and by enough I mean the Dharma Buns, because you're not the only person who said that that's really their favorite Kerouac, right? On the Road, of course, it's a culturally very important work in American literature, but Dharma Buns I still need to read, right? Anyway,
I like Desolation Angels as well.
Mm-hmm.
And like the whole movement, like my Ginsberg. Is Ginsberg even? He's on our list somewhere, I think, right? He hasn't come up yet. But
you put him on. And I'm
of course, though I'm going to read more Kerouac, I'm of course voting Ferrante.
Okay, and I'm very intrigued by Ferrante, but have not read her/him/them. So I'm going to go Kerouac.
So I'm the deciding vote.
The decider.
Well, I may have been one of those people who recommended Dharma Bums. Actually, Shams and I did an episode of Texting on Dharma Bums after I read it. And that's what made me a believer. I read On the Road, which is kind of a rite of passage, I guess. And it's okay. It's fine. But for me, Dharma Bums is what made me a believer, made me more interested in reading and studying Kerouac closely. And so I haven't followed up with Desolation Angels, but Desolation Peak, which is part of Dharma Bums takes place at that locale. So I think it's kind of a sequel to Dharma Bums, isn't it? So I do want to read that at some point, and really I'd be open to reading any of those novels. They're very accessible, they're fun to read. You don't ever feel like you're bogged down. It's never a drag. Dharma Bums was a joy to read.
Absolutely.
So
there's a character in that modeled after Gary Snyder, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I've always liked Snyder's poetry.
Yeah. But just that, I mean, culturally, I think that's very important because he was one of the first Americans to really open himself to these influences that came to the fore in the 60s, what's the date on Dharma Bums? 50 something?
57.
Yeah. So before the Beatles went to India, obviously, and all of that influence came through music mostly. He was already like, I mean, the knowledge that he has of the tradition just revealed through the fiction is quite impressive, right? Like he knows all the important texts, the Dharma Sutra and the Diamond Sutra, and
That was the Trumpian pronunciation.
what did I say? Diamond Sutra, yeah, and just those other important Buddhist texts, and he's familiar with like all the different schools. I mean, I guess we could say Alan Watts was already into that, around the same period. I think Alan Watts, there's a fictionalized version of Alan Watts in the Dharma Bums, isn't there?
Oh, okay.
There
right.
absolutely is. I'm sure of that.
So there's an Alan Watts and a Gary Snyder in there,
and there's
Ginsberg.
a Ginsberg,
Yeah.
Ginsberg.
All right.
There's a Burroughs too, I think, and so it's a roman à clef, it's a novel with a key, or however you should translate that. Meaning, it's kind of like a Bukowski novel, right? Like it's really nonfiction. It's basically his life, but fictionalized. It's nonfiction.
What's called nowadays
up.
autofiction in some ways, right?
Yeah, autoerotic fiction. So anyway, because of Dharma Bums, I'm voting Kerouac. Sorry.
Goodbye, Elena.
Okay, so next up we've got Euripides and Baudelaire.
Both are mine, I think. Or did you pick Baudelaire? GJ?
I might have.
No,
sorry.
GJ.
Okay.
I don't think so, but I could have very easily.
Yeah.
It was definitely one I've read a good bit of.
So why don't you give the argument for Baudelaire?
Well, I fell in love with Baudelaire through Paris Spleen, his book of prose poems, and in college I read those compulsively, and there are some I memorized and would declaim, while drinking with friends and so on.
Get drunk.
That's right, that one in particular, right? On wine, on virtue, on something else, women, but if you please. The whole point is to get drunk.
Wine poetry, or virtue.
Rhyme poetry or virtue. That's it. Anyway, and then I went and read a lot of The Flowers of Evil. Last year, Mark, you and I went and we read Roberto Calasso's take on Baudelaire, right? His era, the entire era, which was fantastic. So, his symbolism, his decadence, his cultural influence, right? The kind of rarefied artificial realms that he creates, right? There's always a haze of opium about them, these strange visions that come out of them. Baudelaire's great.
Yeah, I think I started with The Flowers of Evil, but then it was you who turned me on to Paris Spleen, which are, The Flowers of Evil, that's pretty traditional verse, even though the language and the imagery is pretty innovative, right? But in terms of form, he's using traditional forms, like basically the French hexameter. So it's verse, but Paris Spleen is prose poetry, before Rimbaud, so it's a huge influence on. And I don't think Rimbaud is on our list, which is maybe an oversight. But anyway, yeah, Paris Spleen is great. I've always been particularly influenced by the preface to Flowers of Evil, which, is prose, obviously. But he didn't even finish it. He wrote 3 drafts of a preface, and there's just some brilliant lines in that. Great men are stupid. Paris is a sewer radiating filth throughout the world, or something like that, so the sentiments, the aesthetic ideals that he espoused, and the rebellious attitude, his indifference to fame, like he knew he would be prosecuted for publishing The Flowers of Evil, and he did it defiantly, despite he was charged with obscenity, may have been in prison.
Then when you read about his life, you realize he was oftentimes in debt, had a a strange relationship with his mother and stepfather and so on, and
yes, right.
definitely captures the sort of tortured soul in these emerging urban spaces, and the idea of the kind of disaffected flaneur, right, who wanders the city and is just revolted with everything and alienated, seeking escape in aesthetic experience, right? The
I
idea
think
of
we
art.
just mentioned Ginsberg, and there's definitely a
Oh yeah,
relationship
for
between
sure.
like Powell, right?
Baudelaire, like, is of course influential to so many streams of poetry, including post 1950s American poets like Ginsberg, right? So
But he lived it, like he starved for his art. So he's the real deal, I would say. But I should also mention I read in recent years, I read some of his other prose works, like his notebooks, My Heart Laid Bare. I'm looking at them on my shelf now. Artificial Paradise, which is about his experiments with marijuana, opium, and there's actually a book called what is this? Hashish, Wine, Opium. Yeah, there's some of the same texts that are in this edition called Artificial Paradise. But that's great stuff. Like, that he's kind of a drug pioneer, like experimenting with the psychedelics. He's even got psychedelic
his
kind of.
poetry more often than not is depicting these kinds of heightened art states of consciousness, right? Unordinary states, whether they're emotional or quasi spiritual, and so on. So replete with all the often dripping symbolism.
And he embraces the title of poet. He's like, I'm a poet. He's not embarrassed. He's not like, well, yeah, I write poetry, in my spare time when I'm not doing something important and practical. No, that's who I am. That is my identity, the poet. So I've always admired that. But let me make the case for Euripides. So I mentioned Aeschylus earlier, right? I even translated one of his plays. But of the three great Greek tragedians, really the only three that have survived and whose work has come down to us, my favorite is Euripides. I think he's just the most unique. He's kind of modernist in his sensibilities. He's I think he was provocative and transgressive in a way that the older generation of tragic poets, Aeschylus and Sophocles, weren't. They're maybe more classical, but Euripides would take on, like, even at the time, maybe more controversial topics, maybe most notably his Bacchae, which is about the Dionysian cult and how it came into Greece, how it came to influence Greece, right? Like, originally Dionysus was a foreign god that was eventually welcomed into the pantheon of Greek gods, So it's like, that's probably his masterpiece. But a lot of other great plays too. Hippolytus, about the stepmother's illicit love for her stepson,
Paving the way for current porn thumbnails.
Yeah, there you go. Euripidean thumbnails.
So you would recommend the Bacchae for somebody who hasn't read too much.
If you haven't read Euripides, yeah, start with the Bacchae.
Is there a translation
more
you recommend?
Euripidean plays have survived than either of the other two. I want to say there's 17 for some reason, but maybe there are more. So yeah, there's also the Trojan Women. There's Alcestis. That's a good one. He just has a it's beautiful poetry, but also, he has a unique perspective on things. Like, he supposedly lived in a cave. He kind of isolated himself from his contemporaries, and he was a kind of prophet foreseeing doom when his compatriots and fellow citizens were like,
So he's got like a
blinded by-
Diogenes vibe to him.
blinded by empire and imperial ambitions. Yeah. I mean, he's a philosopher too, right? Like he's a philosopher. He's a provocateur. He's a poet. Not afraid to question everything. So I like the breadth of his humanity. Not that I don't also love Aeschylus and Sophocles, but he was Alexander the Great's favorite of the
There you
tragedians.
go. That clinches it.
And he's been called by some the most tragic of the tragedians. So
I have heard that he's more he's modern in a way that the others aren't, right?
Oh,
and he
absolutely.
also took on some
Yeah.
sort of transgressive. Sophocles, of course, did as well. Now, I mean,
He's later.
I will try to get into some Euripides, right? This is also functioning as a sort of recommendation for authors you know about, but may not have read much of. I'm obviously voting Baudelaire because I know Baudelaire and I don't.
GJ
really
is
know
trying to save our
Euripides.
podcast by keeping
Moving us along. That's
yes,
right.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to make it interesting, I'll vote Euripides, even though
All right. Deciding
Baudelaire
vote.
may be more influential on me personally. So
I'm very
leave it
keen to
Shams.
read more Euripides. And if I was going to embark on a new read right now, I would prefer to read Euripides, but because I have more experience of Baudelaire and have found him affecting and effective, I will go Baudelaire.
Interesting. What have you read of Baudelaire? Some Flowers of Evil?
Maybe both of the ones you mentioned.
Paris
The
Spleen?
yeah. And
Okay.
I was in this
Yeah.
like little 19th century reading group in Leeds, and I remember people like could recommend the next text that everybody read, and I remember recommending Baudelaire and it being a much bigger hit than the crap people had suggested the week before.
Yeah.
It was like so much more vital.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not at all sad, Baudelaire hugely influential on me personally and just in general. So it's well deserved, even though Euripides is also great. All right, so we got 2 Tomek choices next.
Okay,
All
we
right.
can kind of try to go fast. So I've just pulled up Linklater's writing credits. It's true that it's unusual to pick him. But I feel like, again, if I'm talking about texts being in a bit broader sense and texts that have moved me, which would be nothing without a script, some of his movies are very profound in my life, very, very important. So I'll just shout a few at you that I particularly love. Honorable mention to Slacker, Dazed and Confused. These are all scripts that he's personally written, by the way. Dazed and Confused, I absolutely love. Before Sunrise trilogy or the Before trilogy, incredible. Waking Life, possibly my favorite film. Honorable mention to Tape. Boyhood, love it, absolutely love it. Like these are films that affirm my life, basically. Like make me feel like among those rare texts that make you feel like this is what you're alive for, and you're happy that somebody is here saying this because it's so much of it is like connecting with how you feel about life.
Yeah.
So he's a very
Sunrise,
human.
Sunset movies, did you mention that?
Yeah, I mentioned the Before trilogy. Yeah, so
Before.
he's got a way of writing dialogue, which is very naturalistic and honest, and he's very interested in like a realistic portrayal of life, like Boyhood being a perfect example where he takes the same cast of actors. Have you both seen it or no?
Many times, yes.
GJ, have you seen it?
Which one is that?
Boyhood.
No, I've been meaning to see that for the longest time.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness, you've got
I
to
know.
see it. Dude,
I
it's
know.
Austin. It's Austin.
I know.
You'll
I
love
need
it.
to see it. I need to see it.
Yeah, and just
Absolutely.
the fact that he, follows this same set of actors gives it like a real documentary feel, and like that line between what is like how much we're observing these people's actual lives
Right.
versus them as actors. Similar with the Before trilogy, right? You get these same actors that
Yeah.
he traces. So I think he's very interested in this kind of
I need to see the third installment of the Before trilogy, which I haven't. In fact,
I preferred the third to the second.
I want to go back and sort of watch them again from the beginning and just watch them all through because I loved the first one when it came out. That was absolutely enthralling. And here's my quick Linklater story.
Sure,
Slacker was
please.
released in '91. I was living in Austin at the time at UT and had a course taught by a philosophy professor, but it was basically about film interpretation and so on. And so it's like putting a political lens to film and theoretic, blah blah blah, whatever. Linklater had just released the movie, right, and it was already getting some acclaim. And the dude, the professor had him in, right. So here comes
Wow.
Linklater in jeans, just this young dude, total auteur, exuded a kind of just wondrous innocence. And I remember there was we'd seen the movie and I loved it. It was awesome, right? And one kind of little prick of a young man asked, well, I understand that you're depicting these lives, these slacker lives, but I mean, is that really a kind of attitude and that should be endorsed? Are you endorsing that way? Is that the way people are supposed to live? And Linklater basically just smiled and shrugged his shoulders. I'm just making a film. I just put this all together. And he refused to
take the bait. Yeah.
Take the bait in any way and get into any kind of argument, right? And the guy looked like a fool anyway, I thought, right? I mean, but he just came across as incredibly amiable and just kind of shrugged that off and didn't even let it bother him. It was a really cool moment.
Cool moment when the cat came behind you as well.
That's
the
right. That's
shadow
Romeo.
of a cat behind you.
Good old
Nice.
Romeo. That's one of his favorite places. So good selection, right? I need to watch more, obviously. I still haven't seen Waking Life.
Also good.
Salinger, of course, Catcher in the Rye, which I don't particularly, when I go back to it, I don't enjoy it the way I did the first time long ago, of course. Franny and Zoe is a delight.
Love Franny and Zoe.
That is, I like that way more. I'm not sure who I'd go with here, so I'm going to let you two vote, and then I'll cast my vote.
Well, I got to speak about Salinger for a second, too, because he's probably my favorite writer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk too long, because, again, again, the writer that gratified me so much, especially, I read it freshman year in college, Catcher, and the exact same thing as I said with Kerouac. Like, I'm not into the you outgrow Salinger type thing. Like, no, like there's such a talent to move people the way he did, even if it's a person at a different age or mentality. That's still a huge skill. And the voice of Holden is so unique, and I don't know. I feel like whatever I say is not gonna do Salinger justice right now. That's how much I elevate him. I just remember him saying something in Catcher, like I think Holden said, the best type of writer is the kind of writer that you'd want to call up and have and chat with. And I felt like that about Salinger, even though maybe ironically Salinger was pretty weird, maybe in his private life.
He would not accept your call. That's for sure.
No,
charges reversed.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So, and 9 Stories also deserves a mention. Unfortunately, he wasn't particularly prolific, or there's a whole cult around wondering if there's unpublished stuff going to come out, but I'm thinking it's unlikely anytime soon. But it's a seminal high for me as a reader, was reading, I would say, Catcher, although I have a soft spot for Franny, but for me, because Catcher is longer and just the voice is so funny, it's a lot of humor throughout, each scene, it's like there's a lot of humor. I think it's interesting. Go on, please.
I was thinking of Holden as like one of those just iconic American first-person voices, like Huck Finn, right? Holden Caulfield. They've almost become archetypes, almost American literary archetypes.
The word phony.
Yeah.
That's the crucial word.
Yeah.
And all, he likes to tag that on everything.
And it's when you think of it, it's a really it's also a book about somebody talk about mental health crisis. By the end he's suicidal, right? And the trauma that he's dealing with his dead brother, right? And his love for his sister at the end. There's a lot that's really moving about that book.
What do you mean about the suicidal? Like, I'm not trying to call you out on that.
Holden Caulfield by the end is in an institution, right? He's like, he's had a complete and absolute breakdown. They had to institutionalize him then. Where else was he going to end up? He was just, falling to complete pieces.
Sure.
Watching his sister go around in the merry-go-round, crying in the rain, and so on.
Great scene, yeah.
Yeah.
I will probably be voting Kerouac Salinger as far as I'm allowed to.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that Linklater is matched up against Salinger because, but let me explain why.
Please.
I was just thinking about how much greater a director Linklater is than Wes Anderson, who is often compared to Salinger, right? Like I just recently rewatched the Royal Tenenbaums, these the family of geniuses, right? Which I believe is the storyline of Franny and Zoe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I've not read, but
it's great.
Yeah, well, I much prefer Linklater, and I have to say that overall, although neither of these writers has been that important to me, I mean, overall, Linklater is more influential, so I'm going with Linklater. Maybe it has something to do with the Texas background, like what he writes about is so familiar to me, but he's a great filmmaker, and as you say, there's no film without the great script. So I vote Linklater.
All right, down to me then. I'll go Salinger.
Okay,
fair enough.
All right, so you guys
just
are gonna
to recap. I'll recap. You go spin the wheel.
I'll start spinning,
recap.
sir.
Yeah, I'll recap. I said recap. I'll recap the last 4 matchups we had. So it was Solomon versus HST. Solomon won. It was Elena Ferrante versus Kerouac. Kerouac made it through. In the Euripides versus Baudelaire matchup, it was Baudelaire. And Linklater versus Salinger, it was Salinger. All right. So as Tomek continues to spin, let me recap some of the previous rounds. In a former bracket, or a previous bracket, we had the aforementioned Elif Shafak, author of this great book, The 40 Rules of Love, on Rumi, versus Haruki Murakami, or Murakami Haruki.
I'm going to step out for a second.
Murakami made it through. Then we had Michel Houellebecq versus Dante. Dante won that matchup. Then we had George Orwell versus Schopenhauer. George Orwell was the winner. Samuel Coleridge versus William Shakespeare. Surprisingly, William Shakespeare won that one. So coming up, it'll be Murakami versus Dante and Orwell versus Shakespeare. Okay, and then in another bracket, how's it going with the wheel spinning?
2 lineups or 2 matchups finished, so I've got 2 more to go.
Okay. So we had Don DeLillo versus Emily Dickinson. Don DeLillo won that. Sue Townsend versus James Joyce.
Don't say something snarky.
I was just going to say that she had no chance with 2
Fuck
Joyceans
that.
on the panel. No,
Okay.
just...
Sure.
Again, another good recommendation. I'd be happy to read her Adrian Mole series.
You need to, bro. You need to.
Mishima versus Sherman Alexie. That was Mishima that won. And Gogol versus Dostoevsky, 2 Russian heavyweights. Dostoevsky knocked his ass out. Yeah.
Those Russians fight mean, too. They fight mean.
They're like duels.
Fuck.
They fight unprovoked battles. So no one's baiting the bear at all. So
someone sounds familiar.
It'll be DeLillo versus Joyce and Mishima versus Dostoevsky. Stay tuned for that.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, well, let me just do the last
Sure, please.
recap. So this was the last previous bracket. We had Tacitus, and in retrospect, I probably should have said Suetonius, but whatever. I wanted a Roman historian versus Borges, and Borges made it through. Cormac McCarthy versus Philip Roth. Ooh, that was a big one. Philip Roth won by the skin of his teeth, or by a hair's breadth. So it's going to be Borges versus Roth.
The wild Kafka fight that was up there with that one in terms of...
that's just it's a coin toss. Samuel Beckett versus J.M. Coetzee, another tough one. Beckett made it through. Rebecca Solnit versus Faulkner. Faulkner kind of kicked her ass, but I want to read her book on walking. That
Wanderlust.
Sounds really good.
Wanderlust.
Wanderlust sounds really good. So that'll be Borges versus Roth and Beckett versus Faulkner. Interesting matchups to come. All right, so next 8. Next 4 matchups. What do we got?
Oof, we got some spicy matchups. First
Bring
up,
it on.
Roald Dahl versus Roberto Bolaño.
Ooh.
That one hurts because, yeah, you'll see why. Okay, next one we've got Laozi. You can correct my pronunciation. Lao Tzu versus Herodotus. You can pronounce that correctly as well. Herodotus, yeah. Okay, got the emphasis right there. So it's more of an ancient duel, right? Then Burroughs against Sebald. Is that how you pronounce that?
Zebald.
Zebald. And finally, the Russians are back with Tolstoy.
Oh, yeah.
Against Hermann Hesse. Oof. Yeah, that's it's a big one. So,
all right, do the doll.
All right, I'll do the doll. So basically, I've been a fan of Dahl, I guess, since I was at the University of Leeds, and this girl named Cosima invited me over. She'd lived in Nepal for a few years, and she knew a really good recipe. So you need to start with garlic and ginger in a oil, like a sunflower oil. Just cook it for a while. Then you put the lentils right on it and just stir before you add the water. And then after you've boiled for a while, you get the nice dal. But it's hard to... Okay. Do you like dal, though, by the way?
Do you like a strong case for...
But do you like dal, though? For real?
Yeah, I do.
As a curry, yeah? Okay.
Yes,
all right, so the writer, I think he's the best children's writer of our generation. He went starving, hysterical, naked... No, I think, we see, I think Dahl in comparison to, what's her name?
To
Harry
Townsend?
Potter? Yeah, no, Harry Potter.
J.K. Rowling?
Rowling, yeah. So Rowling is the next Dahl in terms of cultural influence of the youth, the young adult or the youth vote. And Dahl is just incredible. I mean, so many of his books are influential, pivotal. As a teacher, I'm constantly going to Dahl and, able to teach it without feeling like I'm being condescending to the kids, because Dahl loved that macabre and he loved, a sort of immoral approach to a lot of his writing and unsuspected twists. And his adult short fiction is also brilliant. So I just think he can do no wrong. I mean, it's just if he was a rapper, I would just be hit after hit. Each book is a hit to me. I mean, from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach, The Witches, Matilda, these are all top quality children's books, in my opinion. Danny the Champion of the World.
James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah, I mentioned that. I love that one. I mean,
I remember loving that as a kid.
Boy, I love the autobiography, Boy and Going Solo. Fantastic.
When we were talking briefly about Wes Anderson earlier. Have you seen those Netflix short films based on the stories?
No,
you really the Wonderful Life of Henry Sugar.
I loved that book. I loved that story so much as a kid. Really,
the story is narrated to you, and then it's acted by these different characters. It's really brilliant. If you please watch that and let us know.
I'm a little scared that because it's just it's I don't want it to fuck up.
It won't. I mean, your love for Dahl is going to be there regardless. Yeah, just see what you think of that. See what you think of that. Because I agree. I mean, Wes Anderson, I don't really care for anymore, but I will say that the Royal Tenenbaums to me is the perfect of his. Right.
And again, I love Rushmore for the record.
Yeah, I like Rushmore too. Yeah. Right. So, but
Darjeeling.
We all throw out our.
That's all right. That's good. Yeah. Anyway, so what do you think, Mark?
The best of the children's writers, I would say.
Okay. Well, I mean,
with a wicked imagination.
You do the Bolaño.
I guess I pick Bolaño. Bolaño's going to be there for me always as, in the semifinals or something. I mean, I could talk on and on about Bolaño, his short fiction, but especially, 2666 and The Savage Detectives. Transformative reading experiences for me. I'm going to revisit. I've read Savage Detectives twice. I still haven't gone back to 2666, but I will. And Mark, you and I read that together. That was mind-blowing experience. Bolaño for me. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Well, come on. Can you at least do the 30-second before you kill him tribute to Dahl, or no?
In terms of me, I've only read Dahl in my childhood and liked it.
Are you a father?
I am a father. Yes.
Have
Yeah,
you
did
read
not
Doll
read-
to your
No,
children?
I
or
read
no?
a lot to my children. I did not read Doll though.
Okay,
A
interesting.
major lapse in fatherly duties.
No,
I mean,
no, I'm just because it seems like that would be the go-to.
Yeah.
But fair enough.
Doll, yes, for all the reasons you mentioned.
Okay.
But I have not read as much, I think, as you have.
And did you read
I
any of
don't-
the adult stuff?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. I have not read Doll the way I've read Bolaño, obviously. So I'm going to go Bolaño.
Cool.
Yeah, nor have I. So, and even if I had, I just can't conceive that he would be more important to me than Bolaño. I mean, the Savage Detectives, in fact, if we want to get technical, partially inspired the whole co-reality project. His notion of the visceral realists definitely influenced or at least my conception of co-realism.
I'm in there too,
co-reality, the co-realism.
I'm in there too.
I know, but I'm not going to speak for you and say how influential
100%,
he
bro.
was.
100%.
Yeah. So, and then 2666, also his works of criticism. I can't remember what was the book of essays between parentheses.
Between parentheses.
Yeah.
Those
that's
collection
where,
of some of his short. He did a lot of like newspaper articles,
Yes,
like his opinion pieces. He
That-
read about
that's
whatever the
where
fuck he wanted.
Yeah, that's where I found out about Bernhard. Actually, it was on his recommendation, and
He was
that's
he was a
proven to be
consummate tastemaker.
Yeah.
He had his opinions.
yeah.
I'm just looking at the
But-
bracket because I know how hard you guys are going to ride for Bolaño. And it seems, to get out of this, he's going to have to beat Tolstoy. So that's going to be an interesting one. But let's
Yes,
save
wow.
that debate for later.
Yes, right.
You've read Bolaño
All right.
too.
And Savage is definitely like in my top. Like doesn't get
Okay,
much better
so-
than Savage for me. But I will say, like in the reading I've done outside of Savage, I haven't like connected.
He's not
it.
a fan of 2666.
Couldn't get through it.
Well,
that was
that's fine.
fucking
I'll just say,
nightmare.
think Distant Star.
I read something else too. I read
By Night in Chile.
I read
Distant
By Night in
Star.
Chile. I can't say I
that's
loved
good.
that one
That's
either.
good.
I read
So
Nazi literature of Americas.
literature.
Can't say I loved that. So like the
Oh,
only
I
one
love
that
that.
really had the kind of spirit that I like,
The last
like,
one I'll recommend, and then you can
Okay,
just go back
sure,
to Distant Star.
Sure, I'm down to read more because he's elite. I'm
That's
just
a quick
saying.
one. You can read that like in 2 days or something.
Yeah,
It's
nothing
like a
hit me
novella.
like Savage.
He's the real deal too, like Baudelaire. He's like completing his masterpiece while dying of kidney failure or whatever. Caused by years of opium use.
Mhm.
And I would say like one of my best friends outside of the pod, Carlos, who's like an accomplished
Yeah.
writer. He in my first conversation with him, we bonded like very strongly because of Bolaño.
Over
So
Bolaño. He's a Bernhardt fan too, isn't he?
massive as well. Yeah.
All right, so and don't forget, Bolaño had a business card, Roberto Bolaño, poeta, right? So he even
That's right.
sold himself as that. He's like, yeah, this is who I am. That's my identity. All right, so Bolaño makes it through, and this is down to me, I guess. We got Lao Tzu versus Herodotus. Okay, so Lao Tzu, for those that don't know, is the author of the Tao Te Ching, which I'm currently translating. So if you're not subscribed to me on Substack, what the hell's wrong with you? Get your weekly dose of Tao every Wednesday. Okay, I'm on chapter 27, chapter 28 coming this Wednesday, next Wednesday. 81 chapters of that. I mean, that's one of the most influential books of all time. Its influence on Chinese culture obviously is immeasurable. I would say maybe not equal to that of Confucius, but for me personally, it's more important. Even though I also appreciate Confucius, but literally his name means the old master or the old dude. If you're interested at all in Taoism, that is the source, So even if you happen to be like a modern student of physics, there's a book called The Tao of Physics, which GJ and I have both read. I mean, the
Tao of
concepts.
Pooh.
Yeah,
I read
The Tao
that.
of Pooh.
the,
Yeah.
the concepts that modern science has governed, were really understood by this great ancient. I don't know. Is he a philosopher? Is he a poet? Is he
A mystic.
a mystic. What is he? Like he's all of those, and like with Euripides and the ancient Greeks, those distinctions are not important. Those are like modern.
This is definitely, I mean, if you had to classify it, I'd call it wisdom literature.
Yes. Yeah, kind of like
it goes
Solomon.
beyond self-help. Self-help is
Kind of
like
like
level
Solomon.
1, then like you gotta go to wisdom.
It's so much more than
So
that,
and
sure.
it's influential on, obviously Chinese religion, but also I think it had an influence on Zen. Alan Watts talked about how, like, yes, Zen is a form of Buddhism, but it's greatly influenced by Taoism, and it's just, if you had to pick a Bible, I mean, for me, that's more important than the actual Bible as a guide to life or living. Interestingly,
Book of Changes.
Dao
I
De Jing.
Ching.
Yeah,
I like the way you
I
say
Ching
it too.
is also
Dao De
great.
Jing.
Dao De Jing.
Dao
So
De
anyway,
Jing.
yeah, you got to get those tones right. I'm probably a little bit off, but close enough. What was I going to say? Yeah, so a lot of great translations. Did you know Ursula K. Le Guin translated it very, very well? I'm consulting
Yeah,
that
I did know that.
as I do my own translation. Aleister Crowley did. I consult his less. His is like interesting. Let's put it that way. There's a guy named Stephen Mitchell. He's a big bestseller. His is one of the worst. Not literal at all. One recommended by Alan Watts. I can't remember the name of the two. It was like a Chinese speaker and an English-speaking poet collaborating. And there's one good one called by a guy named Derek Lin, who I think is an ABC or Taiwanese American. I'm consulting that a lot. Very literal and precise.
You are steeped,
Of course,
well within it. Yeah.
I'm in it, yeah. So there's that. But then also we had a Roman historian with Tacitus. Here's the father of history, the Greek Herodotus. Some people prefer Thucydides, and some of the later Greek historians, like maybe Xenophon or something. But to me, Herodotus is the most interesting because he's like more mythical and less, fact-based, I guess you could say. He's like a great source book for Greco-Roman history, legend, mythology. So it's a difficult one, but I'm going to vote Lao Tzu. Maybe because that's what I'm currently focused on. But Herodotus is very important. He's also influential on a historical travel writer who didn't make our list, Kapuscinski. He's
Someone's
an honorable
tapping.
mention.
You might want to mute yourself. Okay.
I'm going to keep doing it to annoy you.
Well, I'll jump in. Lao Tzu for me, I consult the I Ching at least a couple times a year and get immense clarity through that, right?
But he's not the author of that,
He's not the author, but the ideas, he influenced the ideas of the Book of Changes.
There's no doubt.
He's not, to be clear, right? But I'm thinking of Lao Tzu more just the Taoism, right? And Taoist principles.
Absolutely,
right? So,
yeah.
Those are immensely clarifying for me. I don't know Herodotus enough to comment, so I will vote Lao Tzu.
And I will as well. Okay, next up.
Oh, Herodotus, you got schooled.
Boom.
All right.
Boom.
So
Burroughs
versus Sebald. I think Sebald is yours, GJ. If not, you can certainly talk about him.
Probably half a dozen of his books we read together years ago. Among
The
others,
Immigrants.
I think The Ring of Saturns. I'll just highlight that for now. That to me is my favorite of his, though I love all of his books. The Immigrants is fantastic. Austerlitz. I want to read more, but I really want to return to The Ring of Saturn. It's one of those genre-defying books, right? Part travelogue, part history, part fiction, memoir. It's been called like a fictionalized documentary. All these disparate threads that are woven together. You're traveling through landscapes. You're thinking about World War II. You're thinking about the silk industry and its history. It's sort of melancholic feel. It's meditation on decay, over centuries and on the European landscape. Magisterial. So and of course I know Burroughs as well, but since I nominated Sebald, there's my bit on him.
Yeah, I agree.
Will I read him again? Absolutely, I'll read him again. I will go back, and I want to go back. So
yeah, I agree that The Rings of Saturn is the masterpiece. I started with The Immigrants. That's the first one of his books we both
read that together as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. And I thought it was okay. I wasn't quite sold on him yet, but Vertigo, that's another great one.
That's good too.
Natural History of Destruction, that's a really good one. Very interesting alternative history. I mean, it's basically about what Germans on the home front suffered during World War II. Like, we're not really sympathetic to them, but it basically catalogs all the war crimes of the Brits, like a guy named Bomber Harris, he's just straight up war criminal. But yeah, Vertigo, I really liked Vertigo. Just the way he uses text and imagery, the way he uses photographs, that's extremely influential and unique and important. So I love Sebald, but I'm going to go Burroughs because and I'm okay with either one of these going through, so Shams is going to decide it. But in recent years, I became a Burroughs fanatic and read everything except I still haven't read Junkie and Queer, those two early.
That's so interesting because that's the natural gateway in his early, easier works.
I was going to say this.
Well, no, I started with Naked Lunch, and then it's damn, because I was a latecomer to that. I remember you were reading that when we were undergraduates, and you're like, oh, yeah, it's like his experiments with every kind of drug. I'm like, And then I had already burned out on the beats. It's like, I don't want to read this dude that is friendly with Ginsburg, and I'm not interested in that. Or I don't want to read. Oh, what he's a boy fucker. He's a pederast or whatever. Okay, why do I need to read that? But anyway, I did finally read Naked Lunch, and he quickly became very influential. The cut up technique, and the cut up trilogy, which is on my shelf here. I would recommend though the Red Knight trilogy, Place of Dead Roads, City of the Red Knight. I think if you read in order, Cities of the Red Knight comes first, then Place of Dead Roads. Masterpiece, The Western Lands, which is about
I've read
Egyptian
Cities of the Red Knight
mythology.
and loved it, and want to read the rest of that late trilogy that was written in the 80s, I think. But yeah, you've told me that The Western Lands is just magisterial.
Amazing.
But
so I'll say Burroughs just to make it interesting here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to go Burroughs just because I don't know Sebald.
Fantastic.
I don't really like Burroughs, though.
You don't really like Burroughs?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I just read Queer, right, recently, and that's actually where you go from the gritty realism of Junkie, Queer, you start seeing a departure into, Mark, like his routines, all these kind of sordid routines that take place in Naked Lunch and others, right, these monologues. Read Queer because you'll see sort of the genesis of that, and then see the recent film adaptation called Queer with Daniel Craig, which is really fantastic.
Well,
I'm fine with Burroughs.
Yeah, Burroughs, actually, he brought me back to the beats, right? Like, after getting so deeply into Burroughs, it's like, well, maybe I should give, Kerouac another chance.
Right.
Hence, I read Dharma Bums and loved it. And Tomek, or Shams, and I did an episode on Hal, and it brought me back to that. It's like, no, I actually like Hal. This is great, actually. All
right. Burroughs it is.
Yeah.
All right. Big boy matchup. Somebody's about to go down that's very important in the literary world. I know that's a completely snide thing to say because everybody else is equally vital that we've been
especially
discussing.
Andre Benjamin. But
exactly.
Well, let's start with who did these nominations. Who did I didn't do either of them.
Tolstoy is mine. Hesse is Tomek's, is Shams. So
okay. And I've been just while you guys were talking, I've been trying to decide who I'm going to vote for. I would just say for me, About Hess, Narcissus and Goldmund, critical text for me, in terms of just beautiful spiritual book, kind of describing two archetypal personalities and really embracing different approaches to life and kind of the need to empathize with different types of people and understand them. And I really found Damien to be quite powerful. So I think I'm not the biggest like Siddhartha fan, despite my love of Buddhism. But maybe I should revisit it, and I'd be happy to read more. But I don't say like I'm not like a Hess expert by any means. Do you want to go Tolstoy, or does somebody want to talk about Hess?
I love Hesse. I started with Siddhartha. I think GJ read it before I did, but I read it soon after that. Later, I read Steppenwolf. Great band as well as great book. Probably better than Siddhartha, maybe. Later, I read Magister Ludi, sometimes translated as The Great Bead Game. Did I read that? I think I did. What's the
He
one?
considers that his masterpiece. It's
Okay.
his long book. But
What's
I have not read that one.
Isn't there one called The Eastern Dawn or something like that?
Journey to the East.
Journey to the East. That was good. I mean, I love Hesse. Important in a way that, HST and Camus were when I was first starting, becoming a serious reader and trying to write. But, Tolstoy, for me, in a way, I think he's replaced Dostoevsky as like my Russian literary master in recent years. I started with Dostoevsky. I think around that time I tried to read a shitty translation of War and Peace and gave up. But as is the case with so many other authors, like we mentioned Dante before, if you get a bad translation, it can totally ruin your experience. So you need a good translation, and I did find one, a very serviceable translation of War and Peace, long time ago. This is 25, maybe 30 years ago now, and that was just one of the great reading experiences of my life. Then I went on to Anna Karenina and short stories, Death of Ivan Ilyich, and what's the play? The Power of Darkness. That's really interesting work. I read the nonfiction on aesthetics. Basically he wrote these masterpieces. He wrote the Iliad and Odyssey of Russia with War and Peace, right? And then he just denounced himself. He just said it's garbage. You should instead read Aesop's Fables. So I really admire the way he turned this self-critical eye on his work and questioned its value and was forever searching, forever questioning, never accepting religious or political dogma. He, despite his inconsistencies and hypocrisies, he tried to exit and build, as we would say today. He would be like, if he were alive today, I'm convinced he would be like trying to guide us towards alternatives to the horrors of, the Epstein class. And
so you're going to visit Yasnaya Polyana when you come?
Oh, fuck yes. That's been on my list for a long time. So for sure, that's like,
I proposed to my wife there, right?
No, I didn't. That's beautiful. Yeah. That would be top of the list, man, besides the Dostoevsky Museum. So
much easier the museum, though.
What?
So you're voting Tolstoy.
I have to go. I love Hesse, but I got to go Tolstoy. Yeah.
And I'm going Tolstoy as well.
Do you think, what would he say about modern Russia? Are you going to get yourself in trouble if you answer that?
No, come on. I don't care about that.
Oh, really?
Not on this.
Okay.
Well, I do, but I don't.
All right. You don't have to say.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be a fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. All right. So, what did you vote?
But that's not a black and white answer. I mean, that would require, it doesn't mean he'd be a fan
honestly,
of some other society.
Tolstoy, I still haven't read War and Peace, and I need to, and I have a copy, right? So that's a big gap. Maybe I'll do that this summer, right? Who knows? I've read more Hesse, but Hesse was important for me in my teen years and early 20s, Steppenwolf in particular, which I revisited recently, listened to an audiobook, and it's one of those books that I can see it's like a young man's book, right? It's now it doesn't have the same resonance for me. So, what would I vote? I'll go Tolstoy simply because I know I want to read more of him, and I know that he's hugely important. How about that?
Have you read Anna Karenina?
No, I've only read The Death of Ivan Ilyich.
Ivan
Okay.
Ilyich.
Ivan Ilyich.
I would
years
also
ago. Really
recommend
liked
Haji Murat, which is fascinating novella. His Sevastopol sketches, like his experience, his nonfiction of well, I guess they're basically stories, kind of Hemingway-esque stories of his time in the military, fighting in against the Turks in that. What's that area called? I want to say Donbass. It's not that. What's the
Crimea?
region? Crimea, the Crimean War.
Crimea River.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's just, I mean, what an amazing craftsman, you know. Like you've got what's his name? Who's the expat Lolita author?
Nabokov.
Yeah, Nabokov. He's like, you know, Dostoevsky's a religious fanatic. Tolstoy is an artist. I wouldn't go that far, obviously, but that's kind of an interesting take. All right, so Bolaño,
right, where are we?
Lao
There's no way we're
Tzu,
getting done today. By the way,
Burroughs,
just going to interject
Tolstoy.
that, right? So,
well, I think we only got one more.
And I've already done the draw while you guys were chatting.
All right.
So I can announce it if you want.
Go.
let's announce it. Let's go.
All right, round one is going to be Irvin Welsh representing Scotland versus Allen Ginsberg representing New York. Sorry. Then we've got another New York native, Paul Auster, versus Gabriel Garcia Marquez. In the third position, we've got D.H. Lawrence versus Henry David Thoreau. And finally, Canadian Alice Munro versus America's Walt Whitman.
So I already know who I'm voting for here. If we want to try to get through these, we can maybe get through and then see where the bracket is here.
Yeah,
I'm not
try.
against-
Let's try that.
Let's try.
Go,
I
Irvine.
mean, not that we won't have any discussion, but you know,
Irvin
maybe
Welsh.
we,
Go.
who nominate? If you nominate
I
me,
love
Ryder,
Irvin
you talk.
Welsh. First, okay, I'll do quick fire. Have any of you read Irvin Welsh besides me?
No, I know he wrote Train Spotting, which I love, but I haven't read anything.
Okay, you should read Trainspotting then at least, because it's, you know.
Would you
fantastic.
recommend something else, or like since I haven't read him and I love
Porno.
Train Spotting, is
Porno.
I think you should read Trainspotting though first,
All right.
because it's such a different experience reading than it is watching the movie. I mean, you're getting he's writing in this dialect, and
Yeah.
it takes about it takes 10, 20 pages to kind of figure out what each thing
Right.
means. No, like I know would be like Kane, K-A-N or something. You know, it's a lot of like Zora Neale Hurston style, but
right.
yeah,
High
amazing,
dialect.
exciting writer. But I'm gonna go Ginsberg.
Well,
Okay.
that was quick. I just read.
That's the point. We're trying to speed it up.
Yeah, but okay. I
Okay,
just
now I
read
feel you.
the. I just reread the Irvin Welsh intro to American Psycho last night.
Oh, nice.
What an interesting case of synchronicity. I'm going Ginsberg. We talked about him in relation to the beats. Just for me, he's been more important. I don't think I've read like a complete work of Irvin Welsh. I think I tried to read Porno and gave up. But I mean, I think he's important, like as one of these modern transgressive authors, like Bret Easton Ellis, author of American Psycho.
And he's very much like giving a voice to these like subcultures of Edinburgh.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah. I mean, fair play to him for that. But, Ginsberg voiced the underclasses too, to some extent.
Sure.
Just for me, it's Ginsberg. What is your vote? I mean, Shams.
I'm going Ginsberg. Yeah, Ginsberg.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
All right. So
I don't
Ginsberg,
know Welsh. I know Ginsberg, so.
Yeah. So there it is.
We can talk about it more in the next round if we want to.
Yeah.
But Ginsberg.
Auster versus Garcia Marquez.
All right, I nominated both of these, and in retrospect, I should have put probably Flaubert instead of Auster. So Auster's New York trilogy, I loved it when I first read it. Does it hold up on rereadings? It does okay. It's fun to teach City of Glass. I've read several of his other books.
Do you teach
Unexpected
college?
Twists. I teach high school. Yeah.
And you teach City of Glass.
Yeah, I teach it in junior, senior electives. So
Nice.
we offer electives. Yeah, urban fictions course.
Cool.
But Garcia Marquez, for me, 100 Years of Solitude is one of those texts that I've read that probably 5 or 6 times, once in Spanish, and it's just absolutely exquisite. It's a universe in itself. Garcia Marquez. There's my vote.
I'll go Marquez, even though I'm not a huge fan, but I recognize his like cultural importance. And Auster, I enjoyed New York trilogy. but it wasn't like, I don't know. Yeah, it's
Okay.
hard to go.
I think I read the New York trilogy long ago, or at least maybe the first part of it, and I enjoyed it. But no way he can touch Garcia Marquez. 100 Years
Garcia
of
Marquez
Solitude
goes on. Boom.
All right, next
Hold
up
on,
we've got
man.
D.H.
Hold on.
Lawrence.
Wait, what? Come
All right,
on.
what do you want to say? Go ahead. Go
Love
ahead.
in the Time of Cholera.
Yes, absolutely. An epic love story, right?
Chronicle of a Death Foretold.
Fantastic as well. Right?
Brilliant.
Love and Other Demons, one of his later novellas. I really like that one a
haven't read
lot.
that yet, but I know I need to.
His short
The General
stories,
in his Labyrinth.
Haven't read that.
Don't read that. That's like
Autumn of the Patriarch is good. But
Autumn of the Patriarch, amazing. Yeah, Garcia Marquez, just
big
a
bloody
titan,
prose poem on dictatorship.
A titan.
There he is.
All right.
Facing Alan
Lawrence
next round.
versus Thoreau.
Who nominated these?
Lawrence is mine. I think we've
Thoreau
talked about
might be
him
me.
before. Thoreau's yours, yes.
Okay.
Lawrence, I guess, okay, well, to make the case for him, watch our episode of Texting on, what did we do? Why the Novel Matters, that essay. I mean, of course, he's most famous for his novels, but I think that essay may be as influential as anything else he wrote, and I love his poetry too. Birds, Beasts, and Flowers, beautiful. I love the novels too. I think GJ is rereading The Rainbow, or is going to, but that's a great one. Sons and Lovers. I always liked Aaron's Rod. I think that's a very interesting. Henry Miller did too. What?
And of course, Lady Chatterley's Lover.
It's like a really crude thing to say when somebody says something with homosexual tones. I shouldn't have said that, but I just was.
What did you say? I didn't even hear you.
I said pause. It's like something you can say like no. You can say like no diddy, or you could say like no homo. I love gay people, by the way.
Yeah, and the way I
love gay people, by the way.
The way I said it.
That's why I said
the way I said it. I really loved Aaron's Rod. Yeah, that's a great one. I like the book on Mexico, Plumed Serpent. I haven't read. Sorry, Maria S. If you're out there, I haven't read Kangaroo yet, but that's been on my list for a while. That's based in Lawrence actually lived in the area where Maria is from, if you didn't know that.
Nice.
Maria S, not Maria C. Yes, Wollongong. I always pronounce that wrong. Anyway, yeah, Lawrence for me. Although I also love Thoreau, but you make the case for him.
No, I'm gonna go Lawrence.
What do you mean,
I'm going Lawrence.
I love Lawrence.
No,
I don't love Lawrence, but I like him.
You said he was a knob in our
He is a bit of
episode.
a knob, but he's
okay. So
very good writer.
You love knobs. Pause.
Yeah, exactly.
His essays on American literature also are just absolutely extraordinary.
Right.
I mean,
also great.
Those he
short
just
stories too.
From insight to insight, and would say more in 2 paragraphs about Walt Whitman than critical studies could ever do. So.
Oh shit, I forgot The Man Who Died. Brilliant. Maybe that's my favorite of his works of fiction. Come on, man, give us a Thoreau. There may be people who want to read Thoreau. Why should they read Thoreau? Come on.
Thoreau, I haven't read that much Thoreau. I just, when I taught high school English in America, I don't know, GJ Villa, if you've ever seen like these textbooks called Checkpoint. I think they're called, Springboard. I'm sorry, Springboard.
I don't think so.
Springboard is like made by the AP people, and so they had a unit. That was the book that was given to me at my high school, and they had a unit on American transcendentalism. They just had a beautiful excerpt from Walden, and then also from Emerson, and it was just an exceptional excerpt. So I haven't read at length for either of those guys, but they're inspiring. And
is Thoreau a knob too?
We're all knobs, bro.
He was certainly a cantankerous motherfucker. But
I love Thoreau.
What I think about these two, who will I go back and reread? Lawrence for me. So
I recently reread sections of Walden, so both for me. The essays on civil disobedience. I mean that. So important. We were talking about Tolstoy, but the influence
cultural
on
and historical importance,
Gandhi,
undeniable. His influence on Martin
MLK.
Luther King Jr. and the entire civil rights movement, right?
I mean,
no doubt about it.
we need Thoreaus today, people that are willing to refuse to pay taxes to the Epstein class, and go to jail. So it's a tough choice, but I do go Lawrence since I picked him. All right, Monroe and Whitman.
I nominated these two. I'll be short and sweet here. Monroe is, in terms of a complete and absolute master of the short story. She's there. Open Secrets is a collection. I'll just throw out one. I highly recommended. Some amazing stories. The last story in there is called Vandals, which depicts the abuse of an adolescent girl. And the reason I mention that is because with revelations about Monroe's recent lapse in motherhood, right, in terms of, I don't know if y'all read about that in the last couple of years.
Yeah, we talked about it.
But just amazing. So much happens in her short stories, right? A whole life is lived, and you just feel they're much more expansive than the 20 pages that she might devote in terms of a depiction of these women and so on. But I'm going to go with Walt Whitman just because in terms of his influence, his one of those undeniable American voices, and Song of Myself is just an exquisite feast, and that kind of optimistic, open spirit, and also a sort of connection with what being an American could be, right, is so important, right? He's oracular. He is declamatory. He's sensitive. He's just expressing himself in a beautiful, beautiful American
he contains
way
multitudes.
He contains multitudes. Exactly.
He
That's what I was
contradicts
about to say.
himself, and he rebels in those. So Whitman for me.
Shams.
Whitman, although I did enjoy the collection of stories I read by Monroe.
I'm gonna have to say Whitman too, but I do agree that she's like the Canadian Chekhov. She's a great,
Sure.
and she's proud of it. I like the fact that she never bothered to write a novel.
No.
She's like, no, this is what I do. My genre is the short story. She did write a memoir, which is very interesting, about her Scotch Irish family background. It's called something like The View from Castle Rock. Quite interesting. But
Okay.
Whitman, Leaves of Grass.
Leaves of Grass.
All right, so to recap,
All right.
Ginsberg beat Welsh, Garcia Marquez beat Auster, so it'll be Ginsberg versus Garcia Marquez. Lawrence beat Thoreau, Whitman beat Monroe, so it'll be Lawrence and Whitman. Hey, we can do this, man. Come on, let's go to the semifinals.
If we go through the next two rounds the way we did this one, we can do it.
But we have to
It'll
take
be
at least
faster.
1 minute. I need at least a 1 minute break for pee.
All right.
All right, we're back, and we hope to finish within the next 30 minutes. Maybe that's too ambitious, but we'll see. So back to the first bracket, we had Camus versus that's Albert Camus versus Thomas Bernhard in semifinal 1, and Toni Morrison and Zora Neale Hurston in semifinal 2. So Camus
Not fair to the
versus
black women. Put them like up against each other.
I know, it sounds so
Bullshit.
unfair, right?
all
All
right,
right. Camus Bernhardt.
Camus.
Bernhard.
Ooh. Bernhardt.
Bernhard it is. Okay, see how quickly we did that? Toni Morrison, Zora Neale Hurston. I vote Zora.
Morrison.
I'm gonna go Zora.
Right on. And the final matchup, Bernhard, Zora, Bernhard.
I already knew you guys were gonna say that, so I'll just type it in.
I'm the only one that voted.
I would have said Morrison, had we been in Morrison Bernhardt, but I'm going to go Bernhardt.
Okay.
You,
All right.
You mean Morrison wins out over Bernhard?
In my opinion, yes. But
All right. I revised my
Bern-
vote. No, I'm just
Wow.
Bernhardt wins over Hurston, so.
Don't try to
That's interesting.
shame him, Mark.
No, that.
I mean, to me,
Okay.
Song of Solomon and Beloved are just masterpieces and beautiful works.
Okay, that's interesting. Anyway, Bernhard it is. So,
Mark, I'm
Next
just kidding.
bracket.
It's all good. Okay.
Look
next
at this.
bracket,
All right. Colasso versus Wilds.
Ooh.
semifinal 1, and Hemingway versus Proust, semifinal 2. So, Colasso versus Wild. I vote Colasso.
I vote Wild.
Oh, this is a tough one. I'll go Colasso.
Okay, semifinal 2, we got Hemingway versus Proust. I'm Proust.
Don't worry, Mark. I'm typing everything into the bracket, just so you know.
All right, but are we not narrating it as we go?
Sure. No, please. I thought you were writing everything down.
Oh,
so
I
was
am.
just like,
Just
you don't
for
need
my own
to.
reference. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Proust for me.
Proust for me.
All right. I'm fine with Proust. That sounds good to me.
So,
All right,
Colosso versus Proust.
Colosso versus Proust. Very, very interesting. I go Proust.
I'll go Colosso.
I go Proust.
All right, Proust
And
it
Proust
is.
it is. So we got
We can
Proust.
pause up. When we get to like the final 4, we'll pause a little bit more there. But this is good. I like this. Look at
Proust,
this. Getting through shit.
Proust.
Our
and
viewers
Bernhardt
just tripled,
so far.
by the way.
That's right.
Yeah. So now we have what, 3? All right. So next bracket we got Murakami versus Dante in semifinal 1, and this is interesting. George Orwell versus
Is it interesting?
Shakespeare in semifinal 2. Yes, and I'll explain why.
Shakespeare's going to sweep, but okay.
And I'll explain why.
All right.
So Murakami versus Dante. I'm going Dante.
Murakami.
No, that's a tough one. Murakami.
Ooh,
Okay.
I feel we've transgressed. Because I just said Murakami because of my ignorance. But are you going to claim the same thing?
I'd say that the Inferno is fantastic. I've never had the urge to continue with Purgatorio or Paradiso.
Okay.
Murakami, not my favorite writer, but I will probably revisit Wild Sheep Chase. Just I love that book so much. One of his earlier works.
That's an interesting criterion, whether or not you would revisit.
That's what I've been sort of been guided by.
I've noticed.
In the end, what will I go back to?
That's
again?
valid.
So,
all right, let me introduce a new criterion here with Orwell versus Shakespeare. I'm voting Orwell because, listen to my criterion before you mock me.
I'm mocking.
Which text would be more important to read today to understand the world of today? And these are arbitrary choices, but just let me make the case. Would it be more important to read as a person living today with the IA slop apocalypse upon us and the digital concentration camp, being prepared for us? Would it be more important to read 1984 and Animal Farm, or The Two Gentlemen of Verona and, Timon of Athens?
Why
Funny
choose
that you
those,
chose
though?
those two, right? In terms of biasing game. All right,
I'm making my case.
That's a good point. And here would be my response to that. That yes, Orwell is undeniably important in terms of understanding our dystopian world, for sure. But
absolutely,
in terms of how you can most flourish in that dystopian world, and understand the full expression of humanity in all of its vibrancy, you need Billy Shakes, you need Shakespeare, right? And you need his language and characters and just multitude of voices. Give us in this time of dystopic homogenation. How about that?
Yeah,
nice.
that's good. I mean, obviously picking those
So I'm
two.
going with Billy. By that criteria, I'm going to go with Billy Shakes even.
Well, by picking those two texts, The Two Gentlemen of Verona, that's the one we always clown on him for. I mean, Timon of Athens is actually quite good. So that wasn't the one I should have picked. But anyway,
no, sure.
Yeah,
that's a good argument, and I agree with you.
Hamlet, Lear, and so on. I'm still voting Orwell because I want Shams to decide. So
I'm going Shakespeare, but you almost convinced me, to be honest.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Murakami and Shakespeare.
All right.
Let's not even talk. Let's just put it in, please.
Shakespeare. Wait.
He's the one writer we should remind viewers who got the automatic berth into the tournament.
Yeah.
And look at him, as suspected, just coursing on through.
Well, not for long. All right. So who's made it through? We got Bernhardt, we got Proust, we got Billy Shakes. All right. Next bracket, we got Don DeLillo versus Joyce, semifinal 1. Mishima versus Dostoevsky, semifinal 2. Oh my goodness. All right. I go Joyce.
Of course, Joyce for me.
I go Joyce too.
Okay. Farewell, DeLillo.
And don't go Mishima here.
Huh?
Don't go Mishima.
Mishima and Dostoevsky. Well, now I am going to go Mishima. Even though, honestly, well, he's not going to win. Don't worry.
Okay.
We got the Slava file. We got the Slava file. And
Dostoevsky for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I vote Mishima but honestly, I should vote Dostoevsky in terms of personal importance. We didn't talk a lot about him before because he just kind of whooped Goggles' ass. But Notes from Underground, we can talk about it more later. Dream of the Ridiculous Man.
Are we doing this final now, or are we going to come back to it?
No, we'll come back. So Dostoevsky. Oh no, we're doing this.
No, we have
Dostoevsky, Joyce.
This-
Okay, so here's where it really comes down
Make it
to
spicy.
This is where I log. This is where I log out. Fuck y'all.
Well, let's start with Tomek. Tomek, give us your take.
No,
first.
I don't want to put down Joyce because I would like to read more, and I don't doubt your zest for a moment. But yeah, in critical readings for me, Karamazov, top 5 books of all time, probably. Crime and Punishment, incredible. Notes from Underground, incredible. House of the Dead, incredible. I mean,
Demons, incredible.
Okay.
The Idiot, I need to revisit, but I remember
good,
liking
not
that a
great
lot.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
White Knights, all the young kids are enjoying that right now. It's like the biggest thing on TikTok, so that's kind of cool to see.
And what, is there a video version of that or something?
No, it's just like somehow because it's kind of short and maybe accessible, like people love it.
I like it. Yeah. I mean, look, this is a coin toss for me. I mean, lately I've said, oh, my top 3 are Joyce, Proust, Tolstoy. But, when faced with the head-to-head matchup, to me, this is a coin toss. So you said Dostoevsky. I'm going to go Joyce because I want Via to decide.
Oh, damn. Well, it's also a coin toss for me as much as I love Joyce. But right now, I'm in the middle of revisiting Ulysses again, and it is just enrapturing me. Crime and Punishment, though, was one of those texts that changed me as a human and as a reader, etc.
Have you read Karamazov?
Oh yeah, that
course.
too. I mean, I've read that a couple of times, and it's
we revisited it.
So this is very difficult, but I'm going to revisit Dostoevsky too. I will, but I'm going to go Joyce just because I'm enthralled right now by entering Ulysses again. And Portrait of the Artist's Young Man, I've probably read, I don't know, 8 to 10 times. And, I just revisited it last year in audiobook. Colin Farrell, highly recommend that audiobook version. It is amazing.
I kind of regret my vote.
The Russia pass has been revoked.
You can go back, or is it too late?
Tolstoy's still alive. I mean,
Yeah,
no,
right.
It's like your
We cast our lot.
wild lapse. So
That could be a final for me. That could be a final. So
I clearly need to
okay.
read Joyce if you guys rate him this highly. I mean, I've read Portrait. I liked Portrait a lot, and I attempted Ulysses, but I think I needed support from
Well,
this wasn't up
there's
for
a
it.
support group that just formed, so you can join us. All right,
Yeah, let me know more.
Joyce makes it through. That is really, I mean, my heart's broken. It's really painful, and it's my fault. I voted for.
that's how I felt when I made Kafka move by the
I
wayside.
know,
for
I know.
Wild.
But
So-
there it is. Joyce goes through. I mean, the question is, who's going to do better against Shakespeare? You could look at it
Yeah.
that way. All right. So next bracket, we got Borges versus Roth in semifinal 1. Beckett versus Faulkner, semifinal 2.
So how about we start with this? Like, who nominated these people, and they can like.
Borges.
No,
me,
let's keep it turbo speed.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Borges, Roth. At this particular point, Borges for me.
Ooh, all right. Roth for me, just because of my ongoing attachment to him. Less now, but he's still one of those writers.
I don't know either that well. I mean, I've dipped in both.
So
I'll
use
go-
the criteria. Who would you want to read next?
I'll go Roth.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
Beckett versus Faulkner.
Who's starting?
Again, this is basically a coin flip, but I'm gonna lean towards Faulkner.
I'm going Beckett.
All
I knew
right.
you would.
I knew you knew I would.
I'll go.
I
I'll
knew
have to go
you
Faulkner.
knew I knew.
I have to.
You would.
I have to revisit Absalom again in the next few years. I've been thinking about that book a lot.
So
lately.
what did you do, Faulkner?
Faulkner? Yeah, I went back to Islay last
Okay.
year.
Oh yeah, that was great, right?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, this is a tough one.
Oh yeah.
Roth, Faulkner.
Oof.
Who's first? Faulkner for me. I'm first.
No, I'm not voting yet. I want to see. Yeah, you're going Faulkner.
Faulkner.
To make it
Faulkner.
fun, because this is a coin toss for me, I'll go Roth.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go Roth.
Okay, Roth makes it through. So we got Bernhardt, Proust, Shakespeare, Joyce, Roth, and okay, I don't. The next three you're gonna have to do. I don't have them on my
All right, we got Solomon versus Kerouac and
Printouts
Baudelaire
here.
versus Salinger.
Solomon versus Kerouac, Baudelaire versus Salinger. All right.
All right.
Semifinal one, I go Solomon.
I go Kerouac.
I will go because the next one of those two that I will read will be Kerouac. I want to do Dharma Bums, so that'll be my criteria.
Okay. Baudelaire versus Salinger. I'm going
Baudelaire.
Salinger.
Baudelaire,
You bastard.
you bastard.
See how he does. If his horse doesn't win, he wants to quit. He
All
wants
right, you
to
two
rage
vote for,
quit.
You two vote for this next one.
What's the matchup?
Kerouac,
Baudelaire.
Baudelaire.
Kerouac, Baudelaire.
Kerouac.
So here's the thing: do I go with the writer I know better and who, or the one that I'm going to read next? To make it fun, let's go Kerouac because I will read Dharma Bums soon. Yeah.
Okay. Bolaño versus Lao-Tzu. And
Lao-Tzu.
Burroughs versus Tolstoy.
Oh man. All right.
Bolaño for me, clearly.
Bolaño for me as well.
Then fine. I'll say Lao Tzu just to be a contrarian, but it'd probably be Bolaño actually. All right. Burroughs,
Tolstoy.
Yeah, we got to keep the Russians in there. But
Russian singular.
I don't know. You two vote first.
I'm going Tolstoy.
To make it fun, I'll go
Duh.
Burroughs. So it's your.
Yeah.
So you're going
okay.
Tolstoy.
So all right. So leaving it to me. Yeah, Tolstoy.
Bolaño for me.
Tolstoy, Bolaño. Tolstoy.
You're going to go Tolstoy.
Of course.
I went Bolaño.
What do you mean, of course?
I just said my top three are Joyce, Proust, Tolstoy.
Okay, then I'll go Tolstoy. So, yeah.
Oh, there he goes. Goodbye, Roberto.
Okay.
Actually, you're right. It's not so, of course, is it? But
We're in
anyway.
the realm of a lot of these won't be, of course.
Next. Is this the last? This should
Yeah.
be the last. Good.
Ginsburg, GGM.
Garcia Marquez.
Ginsburg for me.
Garcia Marquez.
Gabi.
Gabi. Gabo.
Gabo.
Come
All
on.
right, D.H. Lawrence against Whitman. Sorry, I thought I'd already said that.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Lawrence.
I'll go Lawrence.
I'll go Whitman.
Noob. All right. Lawrence. Garcia Marquez. Yes?
Yeah. Mhm.
Garcia Marquez.
Garcia Marquez.
Lawrence.
GGM. All right. So the final 8.
So
We're
you
in
guys,
the-
will you
we're
guys
down
pause
to
for a
the Elite
second?
8.
And
Hold
I
on,
will scramble these.
Yeah, but let me do the
If we're gonna
recap.
keep going.
as you-
Yeah, but I mean,
yes,
should I do that
yeah,
while-
we're gonna go.
Yes,
Yes,
scramble
go.
it.
Do it now.
Okay, thank you.
So we got. So let's see. The last 3 I don't have written down. Oh, here we go. 8 finalists. Look at that. So we got Bernhardt. He came out of the first bracket, defeating Zora Neale Hurston. We got, but if it had been Toni Morrison, things could have been different. Colasso versus Proust was in the second bracket. Proust came through. Murakami versus Shakespeare. Shakespeare came through. Billy Shakes defeated Georgie Orwell. And the most heartbreaking matchup so far, Joyce Dostoevsky. Joyce came through. And Roth versus Faulkner. This is another heartbreaker for me. That was Roth. And then who were the finalists in the last 3 brackets? I already forgot.
I'm hard at work doing my wheels, so.
Who was the last one we just did? I'm having short-term
GGM?
memory lapses.
Garcia
Garcia Marquez
Versus
was one.
Lawrence. Yeah.
Who was the one before that? In the
Tolstoy.
previous
Tolstoy beat Bolaño.
Tolstoy beat Bolaño, and then who was the other?
I'm focusing on getting these last things done.
I can tell you. I do have certain things written down here. So Garcia Marquez,
Proust.
Tolstoy. No, it wasn't Proust. Hold on. Baudelaire. No, Kerouac beat Baudelaire, right?
Man, Kerouac made it to the Sweet 16. Is this the, no? This is
No,
the
this is in the final
Elite
8. Yeah,
Eight,
that's
dude.
crazy.
Yeah.
Kerouac's.
Kerouac made it to the, and so did Bernhardt somehow.
No, Bernard's there.
No, I know. I said him somehow. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Interestingly
Sorry. Okay, I've done the final 4.
All right, 8
Well,
finalists.
shit, we are gonna finish.
Go.
All right, the first.
Of course we are.
We've got Joyce versus Bernhard.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just do one at a time? So
No.
Joyce versus...
Tell us the whole tell us the final 8. The elite
Sure.
8.
Okay.
Come on.
Then we've got Tolstoy versus Shakespeare.
Okay.
GGM versus Proust.
Okay.
Kerouac versus Roth.
Okay.
That's the wild card.
Yeah.
Garcia Marquez versus Proust, Kerouac, and Roth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So we start with Joyce and Bernhardt, right?
Yes.
I mean, I gotta go Joyce.
I'll go Joyce.
So Joyce is a semi-finalist. Tolstoy and Shakespeare.
I'll go Shakespeare.
I'll go Shakespeare.
What? Are you serious?
What you talking about, Willis?
Are you serious?
Yeah, he's serious. He
I love
just did it.
Shakespeare, bro.
He
Come on.
did it.
Bro, Dostoevsky is my Russian.
Yeah.
Not and like I would even put other.
You and I are guilty of that. We let go of his Russian, so this is his vengeance on that.
I would
How
even
about
put
that,
other
huh?
Russian writers like Gogol for me is like almost at Tolstoy
So,
maybe maybe even I
what-
prefer him. I mean,
Look
Why are
at
you
my
so
look at
surprised?
my gaping mouth.
okay,
I'm stunned.
okay. Sorry.
Tolstoy.
Okay.
All right, Shakespeare, who will match up against Joyce. Interesting.
Oh,
All right.
jeez.
Then we had Garcia Marquez and Proust. I'm going to defer to you two.
Gotta say
Maybe I'll
Marcus.
break
Proust.
the tie. Man, this is a coin flip, but I got to go Proust. Okay? Kerouac and Roth.
I'll go ahead and go. I'll go Roth. I've been with him the whole time.
I'll go
Me too.
Kerouac. Okay, Roth.
Oof.
All right.
Look at
so,
look at this.
semifinal 1, we got Joyce versus Shakespeare. And semifinal 2, we got Proust versus Roth. Joyce versus Shakespeare. The love that dare not speak its name. Who's
Who wants to
voting?
go first? Who's going first?
You guys already know
You.
my vote, so you guys are the more interesting ones.
I don't know.
You're voting. You're voting Shakespeare. Right?
Yeah. of
Then
course.
I'm voting Joyce.
All right. So I think
No,
Down
don't,
to
at
you.
this point, don't do the then. Like, do what you think.
I was voting Joyce anyway.
Okay, all right.
I want Billy Shakes to go down.
I have to go with Joyce.
Seriously.
Oh! It's an
Holy
upset.
smokes.
It's
Tell
it's
us
a tough
why.
one,
You gotta
but-
ex-
because it's recency bias, as in I'm right now
Okay,
back
okay.
in Ulysses, and I'm just devouring
All right.
not just Ulysses, but I'm reading parts of the biography. I'm looking at. I mean, I'm just in Joyce Landia right now, so I'm
And
kind of
yet-
Come on, though. That's a
And
big
yet-
call, bro. That's a
and
big
yet-
call.
hardly. So, but Shakespeare, of course. I mean, his plays are treasures.
And yet you refuse to read The Wake. How interesting.
I'm
All
not
right.
going to read Wake. Yeah.
Joyce.
So you
And-
really think Joyce like can give a person as much in their life, like,
Yes.
and
I
GJ, you
think
really
that-
think that? Because like the recency thing is not really that convincing to me. Like in terms of your reading satisfaction as a human being so far in your life.
No backsliding now.
In terms of aesthetic pleasure, I would say Joyce delivers it for me. In terms of capturing the complexity of humanity, Joyce delivers that for me as well.
So in your life, Joyce has given you as much, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to hear you say that.
Portrait of the Artist, Young Man is again one of those books. I return to that every few years. Just go back and go back and go back. So it's been a nourishment for me.
Do you teach Shakespeare like every year?
No, I don't anymore. I have
Okay.
taught Shakespeare, but Shakespeare I love irrespective of the teaching of it, right? Because the teaching.
Sure, but I guess the teaching for me is like the excuse to read it closely.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, I would.
It's a tough one. I mean, for
Billy
sure,
Shakes
right?
goes down.
He goes down.
It's fucked up.
There's no free lunch, no free ride. All right.
Proust, Roth.
Proust, Roth. I vote Proust.
I'll go Roth.
And I'll go Proust.
So
This is a tough one.
So we got
the
a weird gay Frenchman
Yep.
versus I don't know what is Joyce? Tell me about this guy
a
more.
masturbating Irishman.
Yeah.
What's his life like? What was his life like?
Exile.
He's a
self-imposed
jet-
exile.
Yeah, he left Ireland and then wrote madly and scrupulously about every square inch of Dublin, basically.
Where was he writing?
In Europe, different parts in Europe. He wrote in Paris near the end. He was in Trieste early on. He was in, where else was he? At least one or two other cities. Living impoverished
Well,
life.
Paris.
with
Did you
Nora.
mention that?
Yeah, that was at the end. Yeah, he was in Paris.
So
Okay,
did
Joyce
he
versus
enjoy
Proust.
his life or not really?
I would
No.
say he enjoyed it. Okay, and, you could argue no on biographically, but yes in terms of what he wanted to do uncompromisingly with his art.
I mean, writing is gives you a high. So if you're spending a lot of time writing, you'd think at least in those moments he's getting satisfaction, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, what he does in Ulysses, just episode by episode, exhausting and exploring the catalog of rhetorical sort of styles over the centuries is I mean, he was in his work, clearly. He was the God hovering over the work, right? And creating an entire universe.
Did he use drugs? I'm not trying to make this like a moralistic thing. I'm just curious.
No, he drank a lot. He had a drinking problem throughout his life.
Did he
What are you
treat
gonna
people
do?
well
He was Irish.
in his vicinity?
Did he treat people well?
Like his close
Not
people?
not always, right? But he was also devoted, however imperfectly, to Nora, his wife. One of his
And
daughters, I think, had
his schizophrenic daughter, Lucia.
Yep.
Who
I'm just wondering because, like...
obsessed with Beckett.
If we're seeing this as like the pinnacle of the
who is
literature
not
game...
interested in her.
It's interesting for me to like see what type of human can create the greatest literature. You know? And clearly...
Who was Shakespeare? We don't even know who he was.
I mean, Joyce is an obsessive genius. I mean, he was uncompromising. He was going to do it his fucking way, and he was going to, And then he was also a very energetic promoter of his work. He met the right people at the right time, in terms of, getting Ulysses out there and whatnot. But he was just tireless, and he absolutely believed that in himself as this innovative creator.
How niche do you think this choice is if you were taking a huge group of literary enthusiasts like ourselves?
What do you mean?
How many of them do you think would end up with Joyce at the top? Just curious.
A lot, man. Go to Ireland on June 16th of any year, and you'll see the influence he's had.
Which Mark and I did. We were there for Bloomsday, and went from one part of the city to the other, and listened to readings, and it was a amazing, unique Dublin tradition. I want to go back. On. We'll have to do that again. Revisit Dublin on Bloomsday.
And you guys just said you just started reading Ulysses again with one of your mates?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but our mate has kind of it was his idea, and Mark and I were like, let's fucking do it. Absolutely. Because our friend he's read the Odyssey several times, and he's kind of ticking off works he wants to catch up on in his later, I guess, right? He wants to read Ulysses. Great. But he's kind of gone by the wayside because he went into chapter 1, and it is fucking cripplingly hard if you don't know what's going on. I mean,
it was hard.
It can read as impenetrable, but once you do, and you don't have to understand every fucking illusion by any means, but when you understand a handful of things that are happening on these different levels, the thing just opens up like this organic, insane work that you just are completely inside of. So anyway, that's my pitch.
I'm planning to live stream some readings, so you can listen
Proust,
to those.
To get to this, I absolutely read the first volume and loved it, but didn't go on, right? Something that I think Mark never forgave me for, which is fine, right? Loved it, but didn't want to read more Proust. Joyce, I'm going to continue going back to throughout my life. So for me, Joyce. No words about Proust before we move on. We are here at the very final. Let's go on.
Shams.
Yeah, incredible ability to capture moments and to describe things with such detail and precision that, I mean, maybe Ulysses is doing something similar in terms of its scope. If it's managing to produce this mammoth work that's concentrated on one day. So in a way, what they have in common is this hyper attention maybe to their surroundings, and that's like a celebration of life if you're caring that much about one moment, right? You don't need to write this very general plot where life takes place between plot points, Well,
they both focus on the quotidian or everyday. They see the beauty and the magic of everyday experience.
And an emphasis on human consciousness, right? The whole Madeline, you bite into this Madeline and then you're transported back into your past, and you're following that sort of train of thought and the fluidity and musicality of it. I mean, Proust is amazing, of course, and I should probably go back at some point. But I'm just curious, Mark, because I know Proust is one of your favorites and you read all of it, right? Why did you say Joyce so quickly?
Well, I mean, I guess I was thinking of my top 3 that I mentioned earlier: Joyce, Proust, Tolstoy. But maybe there is some recency bias here too. I'm still thinking maybe I should have gone Dostoevsky. Or I did go Dostoevsky, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
Or did I?
No, you didn't.
Oh, you
You
did.
and
not.
Joyce.
Yeah, I went
Yeah.
Joyce. Yeah, so I'm. So as
We
you
eliminated
see,
Dostoevsky. You and I.
as you see,
right.
there's kind of that's another coin toss. So what did this grand exercise of however many hours we spent doing this over 3 different sessions? What did it prove? That there are a lot of great writers, and we should read all of them. But why did I go
Wait.
Joyce? It's just overall his world. I mean, maybe if I were a native French speaker, I would be more Proustian, because it would be like more influential to the language in which I write.
Yeah, of
So
course.
the fact
Of
that
course.
Joyce writes in my native language it makes me feel that I can understand him better.
Right.
And our personal experience of going there and seeing all the places. So when I read Ulysses, reread it as I'm doing now for the 4th or 5th time, I'm just back in that world, and it's such a pleasure and a joy now that I'm familiar with the narrative. I know what to expect. Although with each reading you discover new things, and it's like, oh, I didn't notice that last time. I mean, it's just a
and
universe.
Things resonate in ways that didn't perhaps the first time.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
every time it's different. And so it's just a world that I can go revisit. Now, it'd probably be the same if I got back into Proust, right? But
sure. No, absolutely. Those are immersive
I guess
works.
it seems to me, like listening to you guys, that if I'm going to embark on Joyce, it has to be kind of like a summer project almost, where I have time, because like evening reading is a different...
Yes.
I will also say that it's better done with at least one other person.
You should join us. You should start right now. Or I was trying to pimp my live streams. I'm planning to do readings, and so you could just listen, and then Via and I are probably going to do like a breakdown. I'll introduce it.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know for sure, and I will attempt.
Yeah, then you can listen to our
I definitely
commentary.
would, if you do want to do that. A kind of guide you have alongside. It's not necessarily a bad. It can be a really good thing to.
Well, that's what I meant as well when I said the summer, because I would find some kind of program, some kind of YouTube lectures or whatever. But yeah,
right. Yeah, let us know if you want to get into it though. But we'll
I'm down.
Was that the final? Was that the final?
Yes, man. Joyce defeated Proust. The winner of the write-off is James Joyce.
By the way, guys, these guys started a James Joyce Society, so yeah, the bias was there.
The Houston Joyce Society.
Houston Joyce Society, so,
which has just become revitalized 30 years later, because that was 30 years ago that we read it together, and now we're revisiting it. Yeah, this basically what we're saying, dear viewers, should there be any. This was a rigged game.
Exactly. These guys are just trying to pump their little society, so...
How can you say that when Shakespeare got a free berth in the... I mean, he got a bye, as
a free
they say,
berth
right?
into the round of 64, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So,
that's like
he's the only one that was not chosen. He was universally chosen, so...
He wasn't even universally chosen, he was universally acknowledged.
Are you, like, butthurt that he didn't win or something?
Bro, I'm making some light humor of the fact that it's,
I took it as levity.
Yeah,
I'm saying Dostoevsky should be there. So
we got to see how Marcus.
I'm down with
all
that.
Of these writers.
Yeah.
Had there been a different bracket, it could have gone up otherwise. So
I mean, all of those we mentioned, they all created worlds, right? Universes. Garcia Marquez and Macondo. Faulkner and Yoknapatawpha County, Joyce's Dublin, Proust's Combray, and so on. Tolstoy's Russia, Dostoevsky's St. Petersburg, Pessoa's...
Shakespeare's expansive world.
Yeah, Pessoa's Lisboa. By the way, Pessoa was not on the list, if you can believe that. He didn't make the list of 64. So should we briefly mention some other regrets, like people that should have been in the 64 that weren't? I'll mention Pessoa and Ibsen. Anyone have others?
Flaubert for me. Just Madame Bovary. I love that book.
I love that book too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Shams, anyone you want to mention?
My boy Rumi. My best friend in this life.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well,
we did it.
Almost 2.5 hours, so we'll wrap it up here. we finally finished. This was part 3 of the write-off, and hopefully it's the last, NCAA
Last time you hear
tournament
from us
style
ever.
podcast we do, and maybe it's the last ever. Yeah, this is the final episode of the previous season of Texting. Will there be a season 5? Who knows? I mean, maybe we're done with podcasting. Maybe this is our swan song.
No.
And will anyone even care? That's the big question. But hope you enjoyed the ride. We finished the ride off finally, and the winner among 64 well-deserving candidates, the winner was James Joyce. So stay tuned for some readings and discussions of James Joyce's Ulysses. Maybe it's kind of convenient. Maybe that's the real reason I rigged it for Joyce, so that you could watch and listen to episodes of Books Are Burning.
No, I just hope I enjoy it. I just hope because I had that initial struggle when I was 20 or whatever, and so I just
with Ulysses.
I want to join
All right.
your love affair.
Yeah, well, if nothing else, you'll be infected by our enthusiasm for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe
if not repelled.
If not repelled. And I said infected because that has
very true.
Double
Very true.
meanings.
Good choice.
All right, so thanks everyone. This has been Texting.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, bro.
Yes, thanks to our guest, GJ.
So next time,
Villa.
if I'm a guest again, we'll find an opportunity maybe for just a one-off on one thing rather than
we should start. We can start doing films as well. I like talking about films.
We can
absolutely.
We're in
read
Oscar
a book
season
together. Yeah. All right. Thanks everyone.
All right.
Farewell.
Peace.
Texting.